All right, so let me just start with the explanation why exactly I'm here. So, as you know, I'm working for this company named Solars Consulting, and we specialize in providing services for financial sector, especially for insurance, a little bit for banking and leasing. And while we're doing that, we like to think that we are also observing the world that we are doing it in. And as we are doing it for 15 years already, and quite all around the world, we think that we have some valuable feedback that I'd like to share with you today. So what we figured out is that right now we have those 5 mega trends around the world that are describing the situation that we all work and live in. And the first one is the shift in global power. So since the mid-90s, there has been this shift from the centralized financial, economical, and political power in the Western economies, and it's actually right now being overtaken by Chinese, so by emerging markets. Just to prove my point, take a look at this chart which presents top 5 banks in 2008. And actually, right now, the UK is out of a picture because China came in, right? So another example is the world's largest companies by location. So take a look at the US, which is dramatically declining, the same in Germany, the same in Japan. UK is stable, but well, you know what they say, if you don't move forward, you are actually going backward. And look at China. The number of world's largest companies in there has doubled, right? So just remember this and never turn your back around to emerging economies. The second one, really important, is migrations. So as you see, in 2014, the UN counted that there was a record high of 60 million migrants around the world, which is actually triple the time of the population of Romania, probably twice the size of Poland. So this is a huge amount of people, which will cause the changes in our culture, in our approach to the customers. And if you see here, this line in the middle, that's the zero level. So you can see that the most outflows are from Africa and Latin American countries, and most inflows goes to Europe and North America. Then we have new generations. So just let's start with the builders, so people that were born before 1945. Those were people that actually needed some kind of stabilization, so they wouldn't change their work throughout all their life. And I actually did that. They reached some level of stabilization, so after them they came baby boomers. They actually felt a little bit more stable, so what they needed is a little bit more of differentiation. So as long as they still worked for one organization, they used to change their career paths. After then, there is Generation X, so the majority of the people that are sitting here right now in this room. And you guys are still loyal to your profession, but no longer to your employer. And then there is this tricky part, so Generation Y and Generation Z. So the youngest people around there, which have totally different mindset according to how their life should look like. They no longer pay that much attention to their careers, and they no longer are loyal to their employers because they are very mobile. They don't treat work as their main career goals, but they live to experience a lot of different stuff. So they only work in order to experience the world as they wanted to do. And they are very, very much connected to the technology. They love their technology, which makes it even harder to fulfill their expectations, which they are actually only living to do. And the fact is that very soon the Generation Y and Generation Z will be the major labor force around the world. So meaning this will be the people not only working for us, but this will be also our main clients. That's why we have to concentrate about trying to fulfill their expectations. And just to maybe picture this in another way, if we come back here for a second, builders needed horse to get from point 1 to point point A to point B. And actually generation Y and Z, they need golden unicorns that are going to transfer them over the rainbow to give them the expectations that they are living to live through. So another one is climate change. I think last December I went to Italy for skiing, and you know, that was the second year when I didn't buy any insurance for the winter sports. When I reached there, I recognized that there is actually no snow. And Italians tried to fix it, and they were transporting the snow with helicopters just to give some pleasure to the people that came there. But still, there was not enough snow, so I didn't need any insurance. And this is just a basic idea to show you that, well, we have to agree that the climate is changing, and this will cause a lot of different influences to the insurance world, because we probably will have a lot of more floods, we probably will have a lot of more natural disasters, and we have to be prepared for that. And just take a look at this glacier. It's just 30 years between those two pictures has been taken, and well, we cannot deny the fact that we are going to the global climate change that will influence and is already influencing insurance. Okay, another one is connected world. And here, if I remember correctly, around 3 billion people is already connected to the internet, and most of them is already connected to the internet via their mobile devices. More than 50% of new content on the internet is already prepared for mobile devices. It's being provided in this responsive web design paradigm. And when all of us and the other generations already carry a lot of devices like smartwatches, phones, tablets, even all those telematics devices, there is a lot of data connected to it, and there will be a big, huge even change in the following years. Just as a sample of that, please take a look at this short movie. Can we get audio for that? Not really. Okay, maybe I'll try to narrate it. This movie basically presents the situation when the simplest items in our lives will be connected to the internet, and they will gather data, and they will do stuff for us. So they will know that we have to do some groceries. They will know what kind of products do we like to buy. They will know when our coffee should be ready or when we have to go to work. So this is a situation when our everyday life will be enhanced by the technology that is around us already, and we just have to learn how to use it to simplify the way we live. And this basically should provide us more time for those next generations, to give them more time to live the life the way they want, not to concentrate and lose time for this stuff, let's say, meaning the careers and work that they don't want to do, and give them opportunity to try those unicorns that they actually would like to. All right, it's a pity we cannot hear the audio, so I will skip this movie. And let's go on with trying to explain in details. Well, I don't have time to explain all the 5 mega trends, but I will try to concentrate on new generations and on connected worlds. So let's start with connected world. As I said, those generations have totally different mindset. They have different perception of what we perceive as something that is probably good. As this graph shows, well, we have 2 different groups that was asked how they perceive the positive experience with the insurance sales channels. And on the vertical axis, you see the importance of the channel itself. So as far as the importance is concerned, well, the answers was kind of similar. So still, agents are very important, internet, PC, phones. So more or less in those 2 groups, the answers were similar. But when it comes to positive experience, of the generation Y versus all the rest, the positive experience of generation Y is at least half worse than through the others. And why is that? Particularly with three main reasons. So they don't want to spend time understanding what they are actually buying. They know they need insurance for something, but when they get a contract which has a lot of ifs, a lot of unlesses, a lot of something depends on something, and it takes you a lot of time to actually understand it, well, they feel a little bit overwhelmed with that, because their competence level is lower than all of you guys that understand it perfectly. So where's the problem? The problem is that this information is provided to them in the wrong way. And basically, it is because the people that are trying to convince them to buy the insurance are not done. Look at this. This is from Germany. So if I calculate correctly, over 70% of insurance brokers are at the age of their parents or at the age of their grandparents. So imagine if your grandparent would try to sell you something. You probably wouldn't understand what he's talking to you, because the language he uses, the way of communication would be totally different, and it wouldn't be something that you actually expect, and it wouldn't be the experience that you are expecting from the whole sales process. Then, okay, really? Can we try to work on the audio? So nevertheless, there are already ways of trying to get to the younger people and take a look at this movie.
But how to connect with a more tech-savvy audience, more engaged with what's on their horizon than with protection topics. We entered the world of digital gaming, becoming the first insurance company that can protect you both in the physical and virtual world. What better partnership than Ingress, the worldwide alternate reality mobile game from Google Niantic Labs? A revolutionary game in which real and virtual are intimately linked, where over 10 million people in 200 countries compete for territory to control the fate of the planet. Together with Ingress's creators, we integrated AXA into the game's science fiction story. We turned more than 20,000 AXA retail agencies around the world into interactive virtual portals. And above all, we created the strongest and most sought-after protection asset in Ingress, the AXA Shield. This is how we engage the Ingress community across all touch points from digital to real life. And to spread it to the world, we created an online fiction about an impossible love story between two enemies of opposite Ingress factions, building on the myth of Romeo and Juliet, and taking our protection promise to an emotional level. In only 5 months, 5 million gamers have been exposed to AXA's brand promise. 600,000 players visited AXA agencies in real life. AXA agencies generated 3 million game actions. 5 million AXA Shields were deployed, and AXA interacted physically with 55,000 players in Ingress worldwide live events.
So just imagine how the different way of reaching to those people with something as standard and as, let's say, old-fashioned as the insurance might be provided to the younger people, giving them some additional experience, not just the fact that you have the insurance so you should feel secure. No, AXA proved that giving them something more actually can engage a lot of young people, and they actually are very willing to participate. And what's the added value in here? They provided a lot of information on how to target the new generations, right? Because they just wanted to play a game. All right, so moving on to connected world, we have 3 clusters here. So Internet of Things, cracking the data, and customers and partners. So a lot of words were told today about telematics and all the connected world things, but here is some basic data. about 60% of insurance in Europe is top insurance in Europe is already ready and even selling some of the insurance that are based on telematics. But it only gives them 1 or 2% of connected premiums. The situation with connected homes is far more worse because it gives them about 0 of connected premiums, and even worse with connected health. But actually, on the other hand, the expectations are far higher. And the situation is because of the costs of the old devices that you would have to put into your car or in your home or in your jogging gear or in your shoes, whatever. And the situation will change because technology is evolving. And probably in a couple of years, or maybe already, the next cars that we're going to drive out of the factory will already be suited with some telematics devices. That's the basis on which insurance companies predict that by the year 2033, about 35% of premiums will come from connected cars, 15% from connected homes, and over 20% from connected health. So just remember that, not to be behind. This is commercial from the American company that's already promoting on a large scale telematics.
What's happening? They're weight suckers. Their bad driving makes car insurance more expensive for the rest of us. Good thing there's Snapshot from Progressive. Snap it in and get a discount based on your good driving.
Stop paying for race suckers. Try Snapshot free at progressive.com.
That was just a short example of companies that already understood it and actually are already prepared for it. So just remember not to stay behind. Then let's try to crack the data. As I said, we are all carrying all the devices, smartphones, smartwatches, tablets, whatever. Probably there is like 15 more than I didn't came up with. But the thing is that the data that it gathers is really difficult to sometimes understand. But first, just to have it, because 16% of customers will answer your question when asked, so they are willing to share the information. But 53%, they would consider sharing some information only if they would think that they will benefit somehow from it. And then 31%, they need to have a strong compelling reason in order to give you any information. That's why we have to try to somehow convince them, like AXA did, to share those information in a more indirect way. And the last part is about customers and partners. So this experience that the people using all the software around has to be seamlessly. So meaning, speaking directly, when we have multiple platforms and we want to perform the same task, we shouldn't have to learn how to do it. We should do it in a most easy and understandable way. And the way shouldn't be different whether we are using our cell phone or laptop or tablet or whatever. But that's not the only way. That's not the only thing that's important. We also have to provide them something more. So just let's consider the Good Rate app for bikers by Allstate. This is an application that allows bikers to buy the insurance, right? Simple. But it's not only that. It is an application that allows them to find the closest gas station, that's tracking their favorite routes, that gives them description of the routes done by others. That's an application that allows them to share with other bikers their experiences. And that's the only reason why people are actually using it, because if that would be just an application that you use to buy something, even if it would have the best user experience there is, still, nobody would use it. Or for example, consider MetLife, the Infinity app. This is, again, application that is based on the functionalities from Facebook. So it connects the family, the group of insured people. So what it gives the people, it also addresses the need of security. The family buys an insurance because they need to feel more secured. but this application gives them a way to communicate on a daily basis, to share some experience, which brings them the same need of feeling more secure. Okay, just to try to wrap it up, I mean the part about connected world. All the data out there has to be understood, has to be gathered, and has to be used, because it will enhance all the areas which I present here. So it's not only about selling the products, it's not only about marketing the product in a more accurate and better targeted way for the new generations. It's not only about the easier way to settle your claims, but it should provide additional value to your clients. And there is another thing which is pretty interesting about underwriting. So, well, you know who has the most data today, right? It's Google. He knows everything. He knows what kind of car I'm driving, he knows what color it has, he knows where I go to holidays, he knows when I go to holidays, he knows where I work, he knows where I live. It basically knows almost everything about me. And there were words about Google becoming a next insurer or aggregator or something. Well, I don't think it will, because that would be cannibalizing its own services as advertiser. But what Google probably will do, well, probably, I don't know what's the probability, but that sounds for me like a smart direction. Google should become another underwriter, because having all that information, they can precisely give a multiplier basing on the how risky person am I. Because they will know if I'm jumping from the airplane every weekend or I'm just spending it over the lake with my family. And the person, jumping out of the plane should have like your premiums multiplied by 2, and the other case should have multiplied by 0.7, for example. So I think this is just a quick example of how we could and we should use the data that is out there. And just to come back from my first conclusion, the world is changing very fast, and using insurance, you had control over data, customers, and money flows till now. But the thing is that with the amount of data that is out there, we actually have limited access to it, because you are not using all of it that's there. That's why, and also to banks and aggregators, you are potentially losing customers. Luckily, the money still remains, but unless you will figure it out how to find yourself with the world of new generations, telematics, and a lot of data that it's not being used, well, it's hard to tell for how long it will still remain there. And then again, there is already some level of understanding the situation. So 70% of insurance executives in Europe already understood that they probably or potentially do not have necessary skills for innovation in their own organization, and 70% of them agreed that alliances with external partners and out-house efforts might be something that will bring them those innovations. And you cannot be innovative if 12 months a product takes. 12% of insurance, non-life insurance companies in years 2009 and 2013 already understood it and started processes of exchanging their core systems, and 24% in years 2013 and 2014. So get ready. Thank you.